Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So the other day in one of my videos, I said something about the three types of people in the firearm discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it. I thought I'd expand a little bit on that today. So, again, there are three types of people when it comes to firearms. And this is mostly United States. I can't tell you how it is around the world, I'm sorry. But three types of people when it comes to the firearm debate. The first type of person is the person who hates firearms. This is the kind of person who anything about a gun, they hate it. Even in movies like Action Hero, they look away from the screen when they're shooting. They don't like the loud noises, they don't like the smell of it. They they think they're barbaric, whatever. The easiest way to figure out if you're dealing with this type of person, the I hate firearms and everything about them person, this is the type of person who will think that the A in AR stands for assault. That's it. That's the easiest way to figure out who this person is. They will fight for all regulations. These are the people who they want you to have a permit so you can buy ammunition. This is, I want every gun to have a 10 round magazine or less. Those kind of people. The second group of people are the people who love firearms. And that doesn't mean this group is smaller than you think. Both, actually, the first two groups, the hate group and the love group, are both a lot smaller than you'd imagine. It's just these are the really vocal groups. These are who you will see and hear in any public forum. These are the only people who you deal with when you talk about firearms as a layperson. Now, the people who love firearms, they're typically the ones who you may call a gun nut. Is the dude to, more guns in the house than there are people in the house, that buy a gun every check or some kind of accessory with every check that they get. Hoarder types, the ones who buy bulk ammunition when it goes on sale. My issue with the I love guns crowd, my complaint about them, it's a lack of understanding. You can like your hobbies and stuff like that, but if you don't know what you're dealing with, I would almost consider you more harmful and destructive to the firearms industry than someone who hates guns. With these obsessives, the ones who love firearms no matter what, they're the ones who give excuses for people who do stupid things with their guns. The I love firearms crowd, the easiest way to figure out if you're dealing with one of these people, they've one of two ways. They've either got memorabilia from a firearm company on their vehicle or on a shirt, or they have unironically given you the argument about the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. If you get either of those two things, you're probably dealing with one of these I love guns no matter what type people. The third group of people are the people who understand how guns work. Now, I know what you're thinking, but if someone loves guns, obviously they should know how they work. Not really. I'm being honest with you. Most of the hyper obsessive gun people who shoot all the time, yeah, plenty of them know their safety tips. A lot of them understand like basic function and things like that. But when I talk about how guns work, I mean more than just on a functional level, like how it's structured, how the gas moves through, things like that. Yeah, that's nice to know and all, but there's more to how guns work than simple function. To understand how it works on a psychological level, to affect a person, your own mentality as the operator of that firearm, and then compare that to how it affects the people around you on that sort of level. all these sort of little things that come into how guns work. That's more than just you pull the trigger, it goes bang, you know? There is going to be overlap in these three groups. I'm going to be honest with you. In every group, there's going to be overlap between each other. You get people who hate guns because they know how they can psychologically affect people. You get people who love guns and simultaneously hate them because we allow virtually anybody in the United States to own a firearm. Now, on a personal level, the only kind of regulation that I would be willing to accept in the United States when it comes to the sale and transfer of new firearms is I'd be okay with 21 and older. But that's it. That's the only thing I'd be comfortable with. I don't like the idea that on state levels you can have ID requirements to purchase ammo. I think that's ridiculous. My personal feelings about firearm ownership in the United States is if a police officer in your state can purchase an item with no questions just because it's their job, you should be able to as a citizen. I also feel like when it comes to firearm ownership, I don't think it should be a regulation that the government does, but I think as owners of firearms, we should be treating these items like they are. I mean, yeah, they are tools, but they are dangerous. In the same sense that I wouldn't let a toddler, work with power tools unless yeah, you can teach a kid how to use a power drill, but you're not just going to let them go. You're not just going to let them plug it in and go nuts with it. You'd want that kid to be taught how to use that. I feel the same way about firearms. If you know how they function, if you know the destructive capability that they can do, if you know how they can affect you mentally and the people around you mentally, go for it. I see no problem with you owning a firearm, as long as you know what you're doing. That's the most important part with firearm ownership. At the end of it, I hope we get a world of everybody in that third group of people who just know how guns work. People wouldn't be so afraid of firearms if they just understood how they function and what they mean and how they work. People would probably love them a lot less if they didn't see it as this kind of artificial tool of masculinity. And regardless of how you feel about it, that is what it is. It's the same thing from back in the caveman days. I got the biggest stick with the pointiest rock on the end. I'm on top of this hill. It's the same thing with guns. There's plenty of studies to back that up. You may not, when you pick up your rifle, you may not feel that way, but it is a thing that happens to you. So there's no getting around that. Personally, I am a fan of firearms, but that's just, I like how they work. And I mean, I live in the South and it's my job, like literally my day job is selling guns. So yeah, I probably have a little bit of a bias, but let me know how you feel about it.